Hello, it's Fox again. Yeah. For those of you who saw my video on my theories of government, I congratulate you for taking but a first step to open your mind to the ideas I present here on YouTube. Now, the Founding Fathers, the Framers, as they're called in today's textbook, lived during a very peculiar period of history, also known as the Enlightenment. The Enlightenment, as we all know, I've taken a decent history class taught by a good teacher, which I've had the luxury of having my coach teach history. He's amazing. Well, praise. Well, no, that the Enlightenment was not just a socio-political movement from the monarchies that had been ruling since the late Middle Ages to a more progressive form of government, like constitutional republic, for example, America, a democracy, constitutional monarchies, that sort of thing. There's another thing that must be addressed with the Enlightenment. And that is religion. A lot of people's hot buttons are right here in religion. I, like the Founding Fathers, am a deist. I also believe in separation of church and state. Where here, this is entirely true, but in England it's the same thing. Anyway. There is a God. I will admit, this all just didn't happen magically. But you don't pray to him, and he'll magically swoop down and save you. You can't be saved by good works, or through faith. God simply set this project in motion, and started to work on his other one. I mentioned in my first video Isaac Newton. Anybody know who he is? Of course. He was a deist, I believe. Everyone makes the whole gravity thing absolutely absurd. An apple fell on his head, and ta-da, he discovered gravity. Picked up the apple. This is gravity! Apple falls. No. He's not crazy. I'm not crazy. Well, I'll leave that up to the viewers to decide. But, naturally, when they're always led to question. You see, for years, until about the 16th century, 17th century, somewhere in there, everyone had believed, forgive me because I was late, that, God created this, God made the apple fall because he wanted it to fall, that the apple could float if God wanted it to float. Okay, out of curiosity, other than at cheap magic stores, have you ever seen a floating apple not held by a tree in naturally occurring nature? No. If God exists, I want him to do trick to prove he exists. Okay. We're going I want him to take this guitar pick in my hand. This guitar pick in my hand. It's 4:30. If by 5, we'll start this at 4:45. If by 5, he has not moved the guitar pick up out of my hand, then truthfully God doesn't want a miracle. Go. Nah, I gave him a little extra time. But, more remains. Never moved. We'll do it again. Starting at 5:30. We cannot move the guitar pick. He does not exist. Let me just good. Is it better for everyone to see my hand better? Okay, we have 5 seconds. 4, 2, go. Proof your God doesn't exist. Would you like another demonstration? Christian kids? Okay. It's easier. If God exists, I'm going to take this guitar pick and drop it as seen. Everybody see that? Do it again. Okay. If you can't stop the guitar pick from falling, he doesn't exist. We'll do it again. A third time. God doesn't exist. Well, God does exist, but he doesn't interact with us. I mean, if I prayed tonight and asked God to send me a nice blind model, or solve my grandmother's ailments, or something along that, fix my car's flat tire, and it happened the next morning, God, it's more plausibly interacts with us. Now, the whole reason behind this is, I was approached by who used to be a good friend, but but now he walks up to me, puts a rosary in my hand and a Bible, and says, "You need to read this and pray. God will save your soul." Saying those words burns my tongue like a weak acid. Not in spite, but ignorance. People created the idea of God, who interacts with us and is a loving God. Hell, God in general, I'm not exactly a deist. I float on deism and atheism. Every day of my life. Created the idea of a God to understand these things, like why the sun comes up in the morning and the moon comes up at night, or why the sun goes down, for that matter. What keeps the earth in place? What keeps us from floating away from the earth? They created God to explain how did we get here. They created God to answer questions that man cannot physically come up with a reasonable answer for yet. And to this day, God makes more money than Bill Gates. Yeah. Vatican. It's its own independent country. It's also the richest country in the world. Also the smallest country in the world. Okay. I think it's only a city block in Rome. That's how big it is. But, I digress. What I'm trying to say is, people, you don't need to keep such a closed mind on everything. You know, there is a God, he does exist, he does love us. You need to be open. Explosive. Unfortunately, this is all the time I'm given. This is Fox 115. Signing out. Good night. And remember, think about what it means to be a patriot.